Berserk was always that manga that seemed like an urban legend to me. Everyone who's talked to me about it has said the same thing. This joint is legendary, best written manga to this day. If you haven't read Berserk, then you need to rethink your life.
But even after years of hearing straight positives about this manga, we still haven't read it, cause Donchi's pussy.
Nah, yeah, in this case that's facts.
Wait, what?
Among all the high praise, I was always told that Berserk is dark as hell.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
Whether you read the manga or watch the anime, this series shows some of the vilest acts committed by the vilest beings, and it does so with no chill. But you guys really wanted me to get into it, and I'm a big boy now, so I did. So today, we're here to break down Berserk and give you our honest thoughts on the manga. Conscience, you good, bro?
Yeah, I'm just kinda... So you're really not gonna argue about that pussy comment?
Nah, I thought we were past that.
Nah, we are. I kinda expected an argument. Anyways, play that intro, son.
Yo, real quick. Just want to let you guys know that it's gonna get pretty graphic from here. There's a lot of crazy shit that happens in Berserk, and very little is left to imagination. So if you don't feel good about looking at a whole bunch of graphic content, I click off the video right now. But if you're good, let's keep it pushing. Berserk was written and drawn by Kentaro Miura and began serialization in 1989.
Miura originally released a prototype called Berserk the Prototype, before Berserk's official release. It served as a preview to the screwed up world that the actual manga presents, but it's not canon.
By 1990, Berserk started getting published in the mature Japanese magazine that was formerly named Animal House. It changed its name to Young Animal in 1992.
And since then, Miura has continued to build in the manga, with it really gaining hype when the Golden Age arc started.
This arc starts at the end of Volume 3, right after the very short Black Swordsman arc. It had an anime adaptation in 1997, along with a movie trilogy that came out in 2012. And it's actually the arc we're gonna focus on in this video.
We're not starting from Volume 1 this time, because that's not really giving Berserk the justice it deserves on this channel. The Black Swordsman arc was cool, but it was like a random quest in the RPG that is this manga.
The Golden Age arc covers everything from the origins of this manga's protagonist, Guts, to the event that pushed him to go on the adventure that he's been on for the last 300 plus chapters. So we feel like breaking this arc down, rather than just talking about Volume 1, will give you a better overall feel for the story.
Now with that primer out the way, let's move on to the fucked up world of Berserk. We begin with a band of mercenaries walking past a tree holding multiple hung dead corpses. Yeah, we're skipping 0 and going straight to 100.
Baby Guts was somehow birthed from one of these corpses, and is just laying there in a pool of blood.
A woman named Shisu spots the baby and decides to take him for herself. But the leader of this band of mercenaries, Gambino, is like, ew, you just found that baby on the floor in a pool of blood. That's a bad omen and a half. Put it back. But he lets her keep Guts, since she quickly takes a liking to the baby. But that bad omen part comes to fruition mad quick.
At the ripe age of 3, Shisu dies from the freaking plague, thus making Guts an orphan for the second time. And to make matters worse, this pretty much confirms the band's suspicions of him being a bad omen. And with this story being based on the medieval times, when a few people say you're a bad omen, everyone starts treating you like shit just out of fear.
But Guts gives no fucks. He didn't even cry when his mom died. For the next few years, he works in the mercenary camp. Then at the age of 6, he begins training with Gambino.
But his training is harsh. He's forced to use weapons that are way bigger than him. And Gambino is a cruel asshole who's not afraid to slap a child with a sword for the one time. But this man is the closest thing Gus has to a parent. So over time, he starts liking the guy. And by the age of 9, he starts entering battles with Gambino and the rest of the mercenaries.
But the feelings are definitely not mutual, cause this man, this awful human being, sells Gus to some sick pervert in the squad named Donovan after his first siege with the team. And yeah, I'm sure you guys know what happens next.
However, Donovan obviously wasn't aware that Guts doesn't play that shit. He's much stronger than when he was 6 years old trying to hold a sword properly. During another battle with the mercenaries, he singles out the dude and shoves his sword in the guy's mouth, demanding the name of the person who sold him out.
The guy says Gambino, but Guts refuses to believe it. He kills Donovan, then returns to his team only to find out that Gambino got horribly injured. He lost a leg, so he can no longer join the band in sieges.
This destroys whatever relationship Guts has with the mercenary leader. For 2 years, Gambino viciously verbally and physically abuses the kid, even when Guts returns for missions with money to give to him. That's like beating your child for doing their homework.
This violent change in attitude reaches its climax when a drunk Gambino shows up in Guts' tent, ready to kill him.
He starts telling the kid how he really feels. He blames him for Shisu's death and for his lost leg. He's the bad omen who caused all of this. They should have left him to die a long time ago. Then he confirms that he sold Guts for 3 silver coins so Donovan can violate him. And Guts finding out like this, that broke my heart. Look at his face, son! Like, fam, you know how in the intro I was talking about the boss acts being done in this manga? This is what I was talking about.
So Gambino goes for the kill, but Guts acts quickly and stabs him in the neck. Then he has a mini breakdown because even though this dude was a shit stain, he was still the closest thing he had to a father.
But that breakdown is interrupted by Gambino's men coming in and realizing that this boy just killed their leader.
Guts fights his way out the camp, then falls off a cliff after getting shot by a freaking arrow. This child is like 11, bro. What is this, Pokemon? With 2 broken ribs, the kid keeps it pushing, but he runs into a pack of wolves because his life sucks.
For a moment, he accepts death, but without thinking he fights back and kills the pack of wolves. Then he collapses from exhaustion and is found by a caravan of people.
After waking from his injuries, he ends up joining a different mercenary band and continues killing for coin.
4 years later, we find a now 15-year-old Guts doing his mercenary thing during a siege.
The opposing army's ace, the Grey Knight Bezuso, enters the fray. And while the soldiers around him cower in fear, Guts waits for this grown-ass man to bring the smoke, like a real G.
The person in charge of his army offers to pay him a hefty price for killing the general. So he goes in and starts bodying the man, still swinging a sword bigger than he is. May I remind you that this boy is 15.
After he kills the man, the opposing army immediately decides to take their L. And while that happens, another band of mercenaries watch from afar and immediately notice Guts' raw power.
After Guts gets his pay, the captain who paid him tries to recruit him to his ranks. However, Guts has grown to become very untrusting thanks to his life before all this. So he violently declines and goes about his business.
As he continues on his travels, he gets attacked by the same group of mercenaries who were intrigued by his combat skills back at the siege. They jump Guts while on horseback, and it takes him beating 2 of their men to realize that they probably should have just left them alone.
The leader of the group, a young man named Griffith, then tells his subordinate Casca to go handle the situation.
She goes for Guts, but he puts the beat down on her. Obviously, this mercenary group had no idea who they were fucking with.
This causes Griffith to show up. Immediately realizing that this is the boss, Guts goes for the leader, but Griffith easily defeats him.
He wakes up 2 days later in the mercenary camp. Griffith commanded Casca to lay with him to keep his body warm, and Casca ain't happy about that at all.
Eventually, Griffith summons him to go have a talk 1v1, and he lets him know that they're the legendary band of the Falcon. Now I'm sure there are some people watching this saying, wait, isn't it the band of the Hawk? Well, I was confused too, so I looked it up, and I found out that some outlets mistranslate it because Taka in Japanese means both Falcon and Hawk. I was gonna stick to calling it Band of the Hawk since it's the name that I'm used to, but I found out that the name is inspired by the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. And I don't want to misinterpret what Miura is trying to say, so I'm just gonna stick with calling them the Falcon.
At a hilltop far away from the camp, Guts and Griffith stop to have their convo, while nosy-ass Casca listens in from behind a tree.
The Falcon leader just comes right out with it and tells Guts that he wants him.
To which Guts replies, "Pause, bro."
Then Griffith comments on Guts' fight with Bezuso. If it wasn't for the knight's axe being cracked, Guts would have died. He states that it looks like he just gambles his life away when he fights.
And Guts doesn't like how this dude is talking to him like he knows him. So he lifts his sword, challenging Griffith to a fight. If Griffith wins, then he will join the band of the Falcon. However, if he wins, well, I mean, nothing happens if he wins. Griffith would just be dead.
The two duel, and it gets so good that the rest of the band joins Casca to watch everything unfold.
Griffith ends up outplaying Guts and easily puts him in check, but Guts is like, fuck that, then bites the guy's sword and pushes him on the ground. Then he starts decking him.
It looks like Guts may take the W, but Griffith turns the tables and gets him in a shoulder lock. Then he tells Guts to quit or else.
Guts tells him to eat a dick, so Griffith dislocates his shoulder, and with that he joins the band of the Falcon. But Casca is jealous because she was Griffith's favorite first. Now Guts is here and he's getting all the love. Regardless of those feelings though, she still saves Guts from Falcon members who try to kill him while he's recovering, because Griffith doesn't want anyone hurting his new Pokemon.
Guts acknowledges the kind gesture and lets her know that he now owes her 2 saves. But you know Casca, she doesn't fuck with him. She walks away telling the dude to go and get himself killed in a battle. With that, Guts continues to work with his new band. He eventually learns to trust again, and these guys grow to become friends he holds close to his heart, especially Griffith.
Griffith also shows him this weird looking thing called a balet that he wears around his neck. This will become very important later.
And during this time, he also tells Guts about his dream of building his own kingdom no matter what. And this leaves Guts thinking about what his goal may be.
Time skip, we move 3 years later. Guts is now grown and is flexing his time skip power up.
He's been promoted to captain of the Falcon Raiders. and he and his squad are currently aiding the Kingdom of Midland in a war that's been going on for 100 years against the Tudor Empire.
Like many of his battles in the past, Guts tears through the regular-ass humans who dare stand in his way. He was already a beast with the sword before, but now he's got way more muscle behind that swing.
After ending this battle, Guts' comrades praise him and practically carrying them through the battle. He's become that tanky bruiser they never knew they needed. He's like Darius from League.
However, Casca is still a hating-ass hater. The 3-year time skip just made her more comfortable with yelling at Guts.
She's mad because during the siege, Guts left his unit to push through hordes of soldiers on his own. I mean, she's right, but it worked, didn't it?
Doesn't matter. She thinks that Guts hasn't changed since joining the Band of the Falcon 3 years ago. All he wants to do is swing his sword around. And this comment actually gets to him.
But Griffith steps in before their argument gets heated.
Now, way more close to the guy, Gus tells his leader that he does care about his comrades. Casca's just being Casca. But Griffith has no worries about this. Over the last 3 years, his trust in him has grown, and it shows that Griffith has a higher respect for him compared to most of the band members.
And Guts honestly deserves all the respect right now, because thanks to him eating the enemy, Griffith gets knighted, and the Band of the Falcon officially gets recruited into the Midland Army. As a group of mercenaries, this is the dream. Working for an army means they'll gain social status and a steady income along with a place to actually call home.
However, this dream quickly turns into a nightmare during their next siege.
For one of the first times, the Band of the Falcon is having a really hard time with the enemy. But the problem is just one soldier.
This soldier is Nosferatu Zod. He's a legendary warrior that mercenaries have been telling stories about for hundreds of years.
Guts is pissed because he hasn't heard from his unit after sending them in to fight Zod. Then after seeing one of them come out completely torn, Guts is like, welp, can't have that. Then goes in alone to challenge the warrior.
As he goes deeper into Zod's domain, he finds a bunch of bodies mangled and destroyed. Then he finds the monster, a hulking figure who looks nothing like a human. Guts challenges the thing, and to his surprise, he's thrown back. He admits that this is the toughest opponent he's ever faced.
But Guts is not the only one who's impressed. Zod is thrilled by the fact that there's a human who could take the hands he's been trying to dish out for centuries. However, Guts is still only a human. He's one of the realest of all time, but he's still just a human. After wounding Zod, the monster gets way too excited, then morphs into his true form, a horned demon, and Guts low-key wets himself after experiencing a being like this for the first time.
The monster rushes in, and Guts tries to hold it off, but the thing is just way too strong. Luckily, Griffith enters with the squad to save his ass. But Zod's like, what is this bullshit, Smash? I'm trying to have my 1v1. Back the hell up! Then he starts ripping through the soldiers who followed Griffith in here.
The Falcon leader peeps and tells Casca to get everyone to back up. This leaves him and Guts alone to fight with Zod.
Using teamwork, they get far, but this is still a 300-year-old demon we're talking about. He slaps both of them away, excited that he's found 2 humans who can catch the hands. This is the best day of his life.
But when he goes to deliver the finishing blow to Griffith, he notices the Balet and calls it the Egg of the King. He backs up in complete confusion, mentioning something called a God Hand. Then he tells Gus that their battle is gonna have to wait, but he's not sure if they're even gonna see each other again.
That's ominous.
Yeah. Then he leaves him with a prophecy. If he is a true friend of Griffith, then he must take heed when his ambition collapses. Death will pay Guts a visit, a death that he can never escape. And with that, Zod bounces. The band starts recuperating from that experience, but Casca is more pissed than she's ever been at Guts. She looks back at the man, with tears filling her eyes, saying, if it wasn't for you, none of this would have happened, and Griffith would be okay. And that's where we'll stop for now. But to find out what happens next, this time you just gotta wait till next week.
Yup, as we said, we want to do Berserk justice on this channel. So we want to cover the whole Golden Age arc. However, this arc takes up 9 volumes, bruh. 9!
To read all that, then summarize it in a way that makes sense, would take way more than a week. So to keep the content pushing for you guys, I thought I'd do something similar to Totally Not Mark. I'll break down and review the arc as I get through it. Then in the end, I can upload a video combining all those videos, so you have one place to enjoy the entire breakdown. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments below. But with that, let's move on to our thoughts.
So I think Berserk is gangsta as shit, straight up. Here we have a kid who was just born in a shit situation, yet he still perseveres because he knows that no one is gonna save him. And he does so without being some kind of chosen superhuman or whatever.
Guts is not special. He's gotten his ass beat. He's not some immortal badass protagonist. He's a vulnerable badass. And that vulnerability that the manga shows makes the moments where he gets back up, regardless of the odds, even better. Like you guys saw it, this world is fucked up. And Miura is not afraid to show how cruel the world can be to one individual, even if that individual is just trying to grow up. And yes, it can get depressing, But this also pushed me to root for Guts from the very start. I just want to see something good happen to him. It's like the manga set this president of darkness, so now us as readers get hype over the smallest glimmers of light. And I like that. Those glimmers are enough to give me hope that maybe Guts will catch a break. But then the manga snatches it away almost immediately with some crazy shit.
As for the other characters, they don't really get as much play as Guts in this part. But after this, Griffith and Casca specifically get way more attention.
In this part though, I didn't really like Casca. As we said earlier in the video, she's a hating ass hater.
Dead ass. Hating on Guts after her people tried to kill him? Guts just defended himself. What kind of shit is that?
She becomes better later when her hate boner for Guts gets a little flaccid. But for now, stop being a hater, Casca. As for Griffith, it's creepy how hard it is not to like the guy. And this is coming from someone who knows what he ends up doing to screw up Guts' life.
Miura did a crazy job in making this dude look like the perfect leader. It makes you wonder how the hell he got here instead of sitting in a cozy castle somewhere.
But there are still moments where you notice that something ain't right about this guy. And trust me, for those who know nothing about Berserk, something is not right with this guy, but you'll see that later. As for the anime, I've never watched the original adaptation before, but I have heard good things about it.
The trilogy that covers the Golden Age arc is pretty good too. The CGI is kinda hard to look at sometimes, but overall it's a good watch.
But overall, I'm enjoying the manga so far. It's sad as fuck, but hard to let go of once you're in. And the art is superb. Like, Miura really put his foot in this. I'm not a fan of the realistic character designs though, but that's just me.
We recommend it, but only if you're ready for all the graphic images you'll see. What you saw in this video was like the filtered version.
Yeah, Miura plays no games. But whether you get into it or not, we'll be back next week to cover more of the Golden Age arc. And before we go, we also want to give a shout out to a channel that indirectly helped us when going into Berserk, The Masked Man. He makes dope anime content on YouTube, and he's also one of the biggest Berserk fans I know of on the site. His Berserk videos are funny and informative, and they come from someone who has deep knowledge about the series. So go check him out if you want some more Berserk content, or just want some more anime content in general. And I also gotta thank you guys. Honestly, if it wasn't for all you guys in the comments, I definitely would not have gotten into this manga. So honestly, thank you guys for really pushing me to read Berserk. I am having a good time with it, and I honestly cannot wait to make the second video. Until my boy Vocator TV, yes bro, Guts is Death the Descendant of Doom Guy. Or is Doom Guy the descendant of Guts? It could be either way, we may never know. And with that, end screen. What's going on, fam? Thank you guys so much for watching the Berserk video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. Let's try to get 1,000 likes in 24 hours. The first honest manga breakdown to get 1,000 likes in 24 hours. Can we do it? I think we can because it's Berserk and we all love Berserk. Let me know who else you want to see me cover in future episodes of Honest Manga Breakdown, and hit that bell notification button so that you get updated on whenever I upload new videos. Shout out to my patrons. Without you guys, I would not be able to make videos like this. And if you want to become a patron, go to my Patreon page in the description below. For $1 a month, you'll be helping out the channel a lot, and you'll be able to watch videos earlier than everybody else. And with that being said, I am off this, so as usual, be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there. Black Lives Matter, and as usual, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Take care, fam.